Good evening, all. So, central bank's digital currency. This is the presentation that I prepared along with the video. So, before I start the presentation, I would like to highlight the importance of CBDC in the world today. So, 130 countries as of now, representing about 98% of the global GDP, are exploring a central bank digital currency. So it is not as if the concept is very unique to India or very new to the world. It is relatively new, but at the same time, many countries are interested in it. Secondly, if we see the second point, 19 of the G20 countries are now in advanced stage of CBDC development. They are in the advanced stage of CBDC development, and now 9 countries are already in pilot. Moreover, as we can see here, 11 countries have fully launched a digital currency. China's pilot, which reaches 260 million people, is being tested in over 200 scenarios. So by far, it looks like China is leading the pack in terms of research and in terms of real life experience that it is gaining by trying to implement this CBDC. The European Central Bank is on track to begin its pilot with the digital euro, and the US, it seems, is trying to make headway in this direction, but as for the retail CBDC, it has been stalled. However, the federal bank there is moving with wholesale CBDC. So moving on to the next slide, what we see here is the definition of CBDC. There are two definitions. The second one is the Reserve Bank of India's definition. First one is central bank digital currencies are in the form of digital currency issued by the country's central bank. They are similar to cryptocurrencies, except that their value is actually fixed by the central bank and is equivalent to the country's fiat currency. That is the paper rupee, nothing else but the paper rupee that we have. Sorry for the handwriting, as I am trying to hold, it is slipping. CBDCs are new variants of central bank money, different from physical cash or central bank reserve settlement accounts. That is, the digital rupee is also a central bank liability denominated in an existing unit of account, which serves both as a medium of exchange and a store of value. So essentially, as we know, money has to be described as money. Money has certain intrinsic qualities in it. Essentially, the biggest two qualities are, it is a medium of exchange, so we can use money to buy anything. I can exchange my 100 rupee note to buy, say, 1 kg of dal. So that is how it is serving as a medium of exchange. Who I brought the dal from can further go and give that 100 rupees to maybe buy 10 pence. So like that, it is a medium of exchange, and it is also a store of value. So if I keep 100 rupees in my pocket, and like that, if I keep 500 rupees in my pocket, so in the third month I will have 600 rupees, and it will act as a store of value. Value will not be destroyed as such, except for the inflation, but it will retain largely its value. So these functions are also served by this digital rupee. Next, CBDC, the Indian rollout by Reserve Bank of India. So this slide basically explains how Reserve Bank of India went by with the rollout of central bank digital currency. So the concept note was introduced way back in 7th October 2022. It was a very detailed concept note. You can go through it on the Reserve Bank of India website, and I can make a separate video on that if you want. Secondly, e-rupee wholesale. So e-rupee wholesale was introduced before the e-rupee retail version as we know of it. So what is this e-rupee wholesale version that was introduced on the 1st of November 2022? This version is basically for the settlement of secondary market transactions in government securities in the interbank market mainly. So it is expected to make the interbank market more efficient. Settlement in central bank money this digital e-rupee wholesale version would reduce transaction cost by preempting the need for settlement guarantee infrastructure and for the collateral to mitigate the settlement risk. Now, what is settlement risk? Suppose I buy something and the product is not delivered to me immediately, but I pay the money for it beforehand. So there is a settlement risk whether I'll get that or not. So this settlement risk is managed by a settlement guarantee infrastructure in place, and if e-rupee is introduced, it has settlement finality. So just like physical cash, so we will not be needing this intermediaries to guarantee the and manage the collateral for settlement risk. So when moving on, when on 1st December 2022 e-rupee retail was introduced, the first phase was with four leading banks of the country were selected by the Reserve Bank of India. First one being the SBI, second the Yes Bank, ICICI Bank and IDFC Bank. P2P here means people to people and people to merchant. So this e-rupee retail version is both people to people, person to person and people to merchants. So you can buy for and pay for goods and services from these merchants. And the second phase then was from BOB, Bank of Baroda, the Union Bank of India, Kotak Mahindra Bank and HDFC Bank. Subsequently, many more banks have been added to the list. Moving on, what is e-rupee? So e-rupee is nothing but as equivalent to physical cash except for its digital version of things. So it is legal tender. First of all, it is issued by the central bank, that is the Reserve Bank of India, similar to physical cash. Only thing is it is in digital form. The conversion rate is obviously 1 rupee to 1 digital rupee, but this can be changed in the future if the Reserve Bank of India wants. E-rupee shall be accepted as a medium of payment, as a legal tender and a safe store of value. Shall be accepted here basically means the RBI is endorsing the e-rupee. How to get started? So now if you want to go ahead and use this e-rupee, how you can go about it? You can, once you have enrolled, just download any bank's digital wallet will be there for e-rupee specifically. So it can be inside their main app or it can be a separate app. You have to download that app. You download that app and reload it with money through that bank's main app and then in your digital wallet you will have e-rupee of various other denomination. The loading process is simple, and once you have e-rupee in your bank digital wallet, you can use it to purchase goods and services just like we do with Paytm or UPI transactions, similar to that. So how does e-rupee work? E-rupee will work in the same way as banknotes and coins. If you possess them, you can use them in lieu of cash. So no difference is there inside as such, and QR codes are there with the merchants. You can scan them and pay with e-rupee. So how is e-rupee different? Now if it has so many similarities with cash, so many similarities with UPI, what is the difference? So difference basically along with cash is that it is closest in comparison to cash, obviously, as it is legal tender. So when you pay in cash, the physical note coin goes from your wallet to someone else's, our physical wallet that we carry in our back pockets or front pockets. So similarly here with digital rupee, the transfer e-rupee from the e-rupee wallet to someone else's wallet. So not much difference except for the digital version, but as compared to UPI. Now critical to here is UPI is a payment system only. It is not a currency. It is a payment system that we use to pay our friends, merchants, etc. So but e-rupee here is a digital currency. So UPI, NEFT, RTGS, IMPS are all forms of digital payments, whereas e-rupee is a digital form of currency and is legal tender. provided by Reserve Bank of India that is similar to physical cash but in digital form. But as compared to Bitcoin, what is the difference? A cryptocurrency is a decentralized asset where transactions between parties are settled by a pool of users. But in the case of e-rupee, it is a centralized process, and the responsibility of ensuring the transactions are settled lies with the, you guessed it right, the Reserve Bank of India, not users, such as is the case with Bitcoin. E-rupee is a RBI digital currency. It is cash in digital form, and these cryptocurrencies are not backed by the RBI, whereas e-rupee is backed by the RBI. Besides, e-rupee will enjoy the stability in value, as we are all very well aware that cryptocurrencies vary in day by day or month by month. They can vary by up to 75 to 100% in the value. Such is not the case with the rupee. It will not be, digital rupee will not be so volatile, and it is similar to our Indian physical rupee, and hence it will be a good store of value and a medium of exchange that is trustworthy. Moving on, so here is a complete list of pros and cons respectively of e-rupee. This is a very exhaustive list, and this can come helpful while we are giving phase 2 or mains exams. So what are the pros? Pros number 1 is that here trust is there. Trust of the RBI and the government. Of course, when RBI and government is endorsing something, you can trust it. Safety is there. Then again, a sovereign guarantee is there. So obviously, it will be a safe scheme of things, and the entire value chain will be safeguarded and taken care of by the Reserve Bank of India and Government of India wherever required. High payment efficiency and accessibility is there. So to reduce cross border payments time and reduce the cost of intermediaries, that for settlement and for payment, the banks and Razorpay, Bill Desk, such services, they charge money, so that may not be required and that may become redundant, which is a big plus for from the customer, from the public point of view. Settlement finality is there. This is what is a main key word that you must understand and use when writing answers or attempting answers. Settlement finality, immediate and final settlement is there. When you have money, e-money in your digital wallet, that means you have it. So the transaction is complete, it is full, and it is final. Unlike UPI, internet banking, where sometimes settlements are done by banks in batches, sometimes settlements fail. So n number of things can happen, but here once it is done, it is done. Convertibility to other forms of money. Obviously, you can store e-rupee in your wallet. From there, you can put it into a bank. From there, you can create a fixed deposit. So it is interchangeable. It mitigates the risks and trims the costs. So in handling physical currency, if you are a banker, or if you have closely observed, or if you have read in number of news articles, there is the concept of soiled notes. So these notes needs to be changed. These notes, value of these notes need to be reprinted, need to be printed again. So as in banks, in branches where the physical cash is maintained, so that needs to be delivered as well. Currency chests are maintained, entire network is there to deliver this cash, and moreover insurance for this cash, wherever it is kept, it is there, and you have to pay the logistics for it. So n number of security is there. So very many costs are involved. So here you can mitigate the risk and trim the cost. Next is you can eliminate counterfeit currency. So if there is digital rupee, there is a good chance that you cannot mimic this currency. You cannot copy the code and circulate fake money, and digital rupee may well be the end of counterfeit currency. Security and transparency enhanced. Money laundering will become difficult. Terror financing and drug financing will also become very difficult, of course, because what happens is with this money, digital rupee, everything can be recorded. Every purchase made, everywhere you spend the money, what amount, where, what, when you have bought, everything can be recorded, and filters can be used to crunch that data and obtain the data where money laundering is happening, so it can help in better IT compliance also. You can make that one point as well. Terror financing will stop. You can analyze where the money is going into, and if it goes to unfriendly countries like that. So drugs can also be controlled. So very many things from legal enforcement point of view can be done. Next is better monetary policy transmission from RBI. So Reserve Bank of India, whenever it reduces, exchanges its policy rates, it is often complained that banks and financial institutions do not immediately take the commensurate steps and pass it on to the consumers. Obviously, because they are intermediaries and they want to make a profit, so it is not immediately transferred. But when Reserve Bank of India uses this, and monetary policy transmission can be very fast because of e-rupee. If you are using e-rupee, and say in the future if it so happens that your digital wallet is directly with the Reserve Bank of India, so obviously immediately fast monetary policy transmission will be there. Programmable money. So this concept somewhere is prevalent, is becoming prevalent nowadays. What this concept basically is, suppose government of India gives a person a subsidy, or gives them 1,000 rupees to buy grains, and he or she spends it towards alcohol or some other unsavory use, which the money is not intended for, so it goes to waste from the national point of view. But say if you can make that money so that 100 rupees can only be spent on buying grains, so obviously that problem will be solved, and money will be spent productively where it was intended to, and better targeting of schemes and subsidies can happen, so you'll get more bang for the buck. This is a very good positive point. So now if there are positives, there may be some cons as well. Looking at those, number one con that experts talk about is privacy. So governments and central banks will be able to take note of every payment made, to whom, where, how much, to the last granular detail, and that you may not want to be stored. People may lose their entire privacy with this thing. So unlike cash, where it exchanges hands anonymously without extensive auditable trail, cash has trail, but it is to a very large extent anonymous. Government will not know where, if I took 100 rupees out of the ATM and I bought 10 pens with it, 5 pens and 4 erasers with it, and so on. So you get my point here. Exactly. Next, it is non-interest earning. This is a very simple concept, not much here. The thing is, if e-rupee is there in your wallet, it is not earning any savings deposit interest or any fixed deposit interest. It is just there, and inflation may reduce its value. Next is needs bank wallet. Of course, now this is a big negative here. What about many people who are using feature phones? So they will lose out on this highly technical rupee that exists. Also, this will require a smartphone and internet connectivity and technical know-how to use this. So it is not as if it is very easy to use for everybody. So this is a challenge, this is a con that needs to be improved upon by consumer awareness and making the platform more intuitive. Next is cyber security risk. So anything that has to do with technology, there will be cyber security risk. Same is here. What if the entire system is compromised and the system goes down, and payments will suffer? So that is a big con. Cash does not suffer from this problem. Disintermediation of banks. Now this is a unique point here. You can understand, if one can store infinite money on wallets, weaker banks may struggle to retain low cost deposits. Here they have CASA deposits, current account, savings account deposits. Banks might lose on if say MobiKwik offers you free of charge and gives you some other benefit, and you decide to open your money wallet with such services. Banks will lose out, and especially weaker banks will lose out on low cost deposits. Operational burden. This is talking about the entire systemic burden, and more so with the Reserve Bank of India. The central bank will face while managing the central bank digital currency. It will require A, more number of staff, B, hardware will be required, extensive hardware, servers, data centers will be required. software will be required to, you need to maintain that software, upgrade that software, create it so that scalability is there. So this is also a big negative here, and training will be required. So operational burden and costs will increase, and RBI will, and the system will need to manage that if it needs to bring this idea to fruition. Next is the disruption. Existing arrangements, ways and means will, so what here disruption basically means when the entire system will change. So x number of people who are comfortable and who know the ways of the current financial system, if this e-rupee disrupts it and if it finds a lot of taking, many things need to be reworked, many arrangements, contracts, existing systems, and people need to be educated. So disruption will be there, and disruption comes with advantages and costs. So that is there. Next, let's talk about interesting points here now. Worldwide central bank digital currency, what is happening, and some points. So Bahamas, as many will be aware of, was the first economy to launch the nationwide CBDC, the sand dollar. So this is good factoid from prelims point of view, from phase 1 point of view. Nigeria is another country to have rolled out the e-Naira in 2020. So Nigeria e-Naira is their CBDC. China is the first major economy to pilot a digital currency, that is e-Chinese yuan, in April 2020. First major economy. These are small economies. So Bahamas might be tops of $500 million economy, but China here is upwards of $20 trillion economy. So vast amount of differences there. Next, Korea, Sweden, Jamaica, Ukraine are some of the countries which have begun testing the digital currency, and 114 more countries are looking towards it. So you can understand the interest this concept is having. Next, in budget 2023, the government of India announced that the central bank will issue, that is RBI will issue a digital currency as early as 2023. This is a factoid. Next, what is this DREX that we see here? What is this DREX? This DREX is a very recent introduction in the world of CBDC. This is by Brazil. So as you can see in the photo, DREX is the name of the CBDC Brazil has introduced by Central Bank of Brazil. So this is very latest, and moreover you can see here what this lady, IMF's chief, is saying. She is saying if countries develop CBDCs only for domestic deployment, we are underutilizing the potential and the capacity of CBDCs. What we need to do is, as the IMF is working on the concept of a global CBDC platform, so you can understand they are talking about a global CBDC. So in the future you can see digital IMF currency can be there for countries to exchange in between themselves. This will make international fundraising, international funds transfer between government to government level much more easier. So this is very interesting turn of skills that can happen. Next, what is the way forward for India? For Indian point of view, what is the way forward? So here, what India needs to do is, number one, it needs a ledger technology, a good ledger technology that is scalable. The backend technology behind CBDC needs to be scalable for 1.4 billion people, a huge population that India has, and it needs to be error free while doing that. You cannot have a situation in India where you are trying to make payments and not many pushbacks and failures are happening. So this is number one. Number two is cyber attack and theft proof technology that will block manipulation. As you can see, we have heard, you might be aware of a number of scams that have happened and hackings that have happened in terms of Bitcoin in the recent past. So this situation should not and must not happen with the nation CBDC, because it will lead to trust issues, and moreover it will lead to losing face for the country. So it needs to block manipulation, needs to be blocked from bad actors. Then ease of use must be there, and interoperability with Paytm, UPI, IBPS, etc. If it is there, it will be very good. It will be a very good thing Why? Because it will lead to easier adoption of the e-rupee. Next, to ensure privacy as per Indian legal context. So what is this privacy that we are talking about? So as you are aware, recent data protection laws have came. So in perspective to that, and not just mimicking the Western scheme of things, keeping in mind unique India's security concerns that India has with respect to its neighbors. So in that scenario and in that context, India will have a privacy law and privacy scheme of things, and as per that we need to ensure privacy in CBDC as well. We cannot have a situation where everything is recorded and everything is available. That will infringe upon person's right to privacy as enshrined and commented upon by the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court. Next, offline capability for 60 crore offline Indians. So as I discussed earlier as well, 60 crore Indians currently are still using feature phones to a large extent, and for them, feature phones plus those smartphones that do not have, suppose in rural areas you will not find 4G 3G connectivity everywhere. So in that scenario, if they have adopted e-rupee or want to adopt, how will you provide that service to them? So that also needs to be looked into. So these are the way forwards, if you 5 points, 5 key thrust areas that the Reserve Bank of India and the Government of India will focus in. Now, interesting parts that we can talk about, interesting facts that I want to share with you. Interoperability of QR codes of UPI payment. So this initiative was recently taken in July by the Reserve Bank of India, where it allowed interoperability of those UPI codes for e-rupee and e-rupee transactions as well. So earlier merchants had to be onboarded and different QR was, so you have one QR for UPI, one QR for your e-rupee transactions. Now interoperability has been allowed. So this will lead to ease of transactions and ease of usage of e-rupee. Next, RBI Deputy Governor recently gave this target of 1 million e-rupee transactions per day by the end of 2023. It is 1 million e-rupee transactions, not 1 million e-rupee exchange that you know. So number of transactions must reach 1 million, will reach 1 million e-rupee transactions. But currently it is just 5 to 10,000. So you can imagine the speed of growth that e-rupee is having. So the interest it has generated and the convenience it provides, that is so undeniable that it will grow at the speed. 13 banks, 13 lakh users and 3 lakh merchants are already on board this and are using this. So e-rupee seems to be the future. Fun fact, now many of you might have heard about this controversy regarding star notes, star on the series, star mark in the series of the 500 rupee notes. So this message was widely circulated on WhatsApp and other social media, where it was said that this is a fake note or this is a counterfeit note and you cannot use this and this note will be banned, and such messages were coming. Banks are this is fraud note circulating, you must not. So this entire thing is a hoax, where RBI has recently declared in its circular on the website that this is in fact legal tender and you need not worry growth that e-rupee is having. So the interest it has generated and the convenience it provides, that is so undeniable that it will grow at the speed. 13 banks, 13 lakh users and 3 lakh merchants are already on board this and are using this. So e-rupee seems to be the future. Fun fact, now many of you might have heard about this controversy regarding star notes, star on the series, star mark in the series of the 500 rupee notes. So this message was widely circulated on WhatsApp and other social media, where it was said that this is a fake note or this is a counterfeit note and you cannot use this, and this note will be banned, and such messages were coming. Banks are this is fraud note circulating, you must not. So this entire thing is a hoax, where RBI has recently declared in its circular on the website that this is in fact legal tender, and you need not worry if you find this finding your way into your physical wallet, as this star is merely an indication of this note was reprinted, and this is identical to any other legal banknote. So it was just merely a indication of replaced or reprinted banknote. Some problem was there with the printing. Printing presses were having some problem, and this banknote, the serial number was star was printed. It was added to make that set of notes. So merely this is a functioning system that the RBI banknote that printers have come up with. This is not a fraudulent note, or this is not cheating that people are doing with you. So thank you for your time. I hope this presentation was of interest and was of value to you.